And we are live here to chat about tonight's episode of Arrow, which was a mid-season premiere, which is really exciting. Episode 10 of season 7, entitled My Name is Emiko Queen, but it had previously been marketed as Shattered Lives, so I think it's listed under multiple titles online. In addition to that being somewhat, I think, I don't want to say like unprecedented, but it hasn't necessarily been done before on Arrow, the switching titles thing. I think it's also, and please jump in the chat and correct me if I'm wrong, because I do have the chat pulled up, and I'm going to pull up your thoughts and questions and comments and all of that, of course. But is this not also one of the first seasons where they've had the mid-season premiere be episode 10? Because I feel like the mid-season finale, like the one we would have right before the break, was normally 10. Am I going crazy, or is that the case? Amanda Tavares is in the chat, says hello. Hello, Amanda. I'm so happy to have you back. I hope everybody had a really good break and hiatus. I know it was kind of long to wait for a follow-up episode, especially since the last one we had right before the break was the crossover. So it's been a while since we've had a true Arrow episode. Lisa in the chat says, did anyone understand what Emiko's mother's name was? It was printed on screen a couple times, and I also do watch with closed captioning, so I saw it sometimes written in the closed captions. But it's not something I would feel confident that I could pronounce perfectly, but that is okay. Carrie Johnson says, hey folks. Hey Carrie, I'm glad to see you back as well. Hope everybody had a good holiday. Amanda corrects me, says episode 9 is always the one before the break. Well, that settles that. I'm going crazy because I could have sworn that it was episode 10 before the break, but I might be getting, I think I might be getting it confused with some other shows that I watched that split at episode 10. But the switching the title from Shattered Lives to My Name is Emiko Queen, that hasn't really happened since, I want to say it was season 2 or 3, episode 5, which was originally titled Oracle, and then they switched it to The Secret Origins of Felicity Smoke, because Oracle was under it was under different use by DC, and DC TV through CW didn't have the right to use it. But I don't think it had gotten to the point where that title was used in like marketing and promotion. It was, I think it was just in like the original scripts, and then eventually even in the original, in the like some incarnation of the script, they switched it to The Secret Origins of Felicity Smoke. So in this case, going from being marketed as Shattered Lives to My Name is Emiko Queen really indicated to me that they did want to keep the identity of, sorry, my hair is just nuts, want to keep the identity of this hood character a secret. And I know that a lot of us found out in advance, and that's almost kind of inevitable, but I think it's possible, not for me, but for others, that it really was a secret who this was prior to last time's revealed. Amanda says it was My Name is Emiko Queen, but it was a big spoiler. The title leaked early on. Yep. So Beth marketed it as Shattered Lives for a brief period of time. Yeah, they wanted to cover up the fact that it was Emiko Queen, because it is such a big spoiler, obviously, especially after they've spent multiple episodes trying to keep her a secret and keep that identity such a secret, similar to how they tried to keep Prometheus's identity a secret for quite a long time, and went to some pretty significant lengths to try to ensure that back in season 6. Carrie says, did I miss something? Did Emiko say why she's wearing the Green Arrow suit? Oliver had a reason to wear it because of his island mentor. Is the hood now just a vigilante suit du jour? I mean, in a plot per point way, sort of, yes, it is just sort of becoming a bit of a legacy feature that others are picking up on. But in terms of specifically what her plot reason is she's out to avenge her mother's death. She's out to take down the people responsible for killing her mother in a larger killing spree in general. Lisa says, I don't think she said. Yeah, there's a scene where she discusses it with Renee. It's when they're in sort of the basement, and there's that wall with all of the evidence there, and they talk about it a little bit. But we'll talk about more of that in a second. we're getting way off track because this is the first episode of the mid-season, and apparently I've forgotten our format entirely. I want to hear what you guys rated the episode on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being terrible, you couldn't stand it, and 10 being, not 10, 5. 5 being perfect, you loved everything about it, it was a perfect mid-season return. Where are you guys at with it? And when will my hair actually dry? I feel like it's been wet all day. Anyways, what would you guys rate the episode on a scale from 1 to 5? I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. Stormy says, it makes no sense Emiko wearing that outfit since she has such hatred for the queens. I think a lot of, yes, firstly, I kind of agree with you. They need to explain a little bit more what her true feelings are, and I think they're going to get more into it. Like, there's probably a little bit of unpacking and therapy to go through there, right? Like, you know, she thinks she hates the queens, but she also wants to be closer to the queens because that's half her family, and she's lost the other half of her family. You know, like the whole, it's typical hero background stuff. But yeah, I think there's a little bit to be unpacked there. Crash Carter says 2.5 out of 5. Okay, a crisp 50%. I would like to hear more about what are your reasons for it getting right around that 50% mark? Amanda says, who trained Emiko? Was this training a 1-year thing? Because Green Arrowhood is not hereditary on the queen DNA. Very true. It's not like Oliver and Theo were just fantastic fighters growing up in the lap of luxury. Lisa gives it a 3.5. Amanda gives it a 3 out of 5. Yeah, these are a little bit lower ratings than what we were getting around the beginning of the season. So beginning of season 7, I was seeing some pretty high ratings from you guys. It was mostly like a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, some occasional 5 out of 5s. And here we're getting a little bit lower. I'm curious to hear, I suspect I know the answer, and I can kind of talk it through and you guys tell me if I'm right. Curious to hear what your reasoning is for why these are a little bit lower than the like 4.5 average that we were having the first the season premiere itself. Carrie also says 3.5 for me. Argus story dragged it. Yeah. Stormy says the Emiko stuff was boring. A lot of it was ripped straight from season 1. Oliver, Felicity, and Dig. It definitely was a lot of carbon copies of season 1. I know at the beginning of the episode, I was like, I don't mean this in a bad way. And like, you guys tell me if I'm way off base, but this literally feels like a gender bent fan fiction where Oliver is a girl. And then a few things change around it. But other than that, it's pretty much like, was that just me? It's just, and I don't mean it in a bad way. Like, recreations of the story are fantastic. This is a recreation of the comics, which is a recreation kind of sort of inspired by Robin Hood, which is a recreation, I think, of like a Kryana sort of real life. Like, recreate away, by all means, even on the same show, but like, I'm gonna call it what it is. This was a recreation of season 1 with Oliver as a girl, which I suppose is an improvement. Like, I'm not mad about it, but Lisa agrees with Stormy. Brian Perez also says 2.5 out of 5. Tonight's episode was boring. Oliver and Felicity scenes were the only good parts. I agree with Brian. I thought Oliver and Felicity scenes were really they were kind of funny and cute, but also like that was what the story was progressing, was how is Oliver, our lead hero, going to react to suddenly there's another member of the Queen family? Because I know at the when Thea left last season, I was like, I don't really know where they go from here, because we've always had Oliver, which is our lead character. Like, there's no way to change that at this point. His connection to his family, his connection to the Queen family name has always been very key to this whole development and to his whole story and to what he's trying to protect. And without many other queens around, he has nothing left to lose. And their answer to that seemed to be to build the Queen family around him in Felicity and William, and that worked for me. Especially at the beginning of the season, we really got to see the impact of that. We got to see what Oliver could lose if he could lose his wife and child, rather than the old Oliver. It was what he could lose if he could lose his parents and siblings. And now we see this reversion to, we're going to, I feel like we're going to be told to get invested in Emiko's storyline because it's another chance at family for Oliver. And I may get invested in Emiko's storyline. I don't know. It's too soon to call. And they are introducing someone in season 7 of a hero show. So like, who really knows if we're going to have the space to care when we're trying to track all these other hero storylines, that some of which have not had development in a really long time, or at least not good development in a while. But I may eventually care in her about her storyline. I think, you know, the actress is doing a great job. You know, this is nothing against the whatever we've seen of her so far, but I don't think it's going to be because Oliver cares about her as a member of his family. I feel like that has become too tired. We've had too much of this. Oliver is trying not to lose another sort of member of his family, and we've barely had a chance to be invested in William, who was, you know, introduced sort of in season 4, but really not until season 6 when we had a context for William to be introduced, which was with Felicity. We barely kind of got a chance to be attached to him as sort of the new member of Oliver's family that Oliver can care about. Adding someone else, I get that we are presented the premise in this episode that Oliver feels a responsibility because Walter was supposed to be taking care of this girl when she was a child, but it's become a bit of a Oliver takes on responsibility that isn't his type of situation, and I'm not sure how that will play out, and I suspect if I get invested in Emiko, it will be for other reasons, because I either enjoy her hero journey. I hate to say this because I hate to speak positively of Wild Dog, but I suppose there's a chance I could get invested in this storyline because I'm also invested in the romance with her and Wild Dog. I don't know. Let's not read too far into that. I don't want to say anything positive about Wild Dog's storyline because, frankly, he was still really annoying tonight. Anyways, let me jump in the chat, see where you all are in this. Lisa says Renee pissed her off in both timelines. Renee pissed me off in both timelines as well, to be fair. No real argument there. Pissed me off more in the flash forward, but I also am finding the flash forwards to get a bit flashbacky, and that I'm not so much caring about them because they don't have anybody I'm interested in. No offense to any of the characters in them and their respective wigs, which are terrible. Crash Carter says, I felt that the show's jumping the shark after amazing first 7 episodes. I agree the first 7 was pretty good, especially by Arrow standards. The whole Emiko plot is ridiculous. I don't like the flash forward stuff. Flash forward stuff had such good potential, and I'm really starting to wonder if it's really got nowhere to go. I'm starting to wonder if the big thing that they can hold over us is who's dead and who's not dead. And that's just, oh man, that's tired. And they really have tried that already in past seasons with the flash forward to the grave. And that, I don't know that that's the best format for a mystery in a hero series, especially in a show like this, you know. So I don't know if all they're really holding on to us is Felicity dead or not? Like, yes, I'm invested in Felicity and all that, but oh man. Anyways, Amanda says, let me restate that. I'm invested in Felicity, but I know for a fact that they won't kill her in the middle of season 7. So, like, let's get to the part where we can see flash forward Felicity, because that's what we all want to see. Okay, Amanda says the reason my rating is lower is because they don't care about these people. Renee, Emiko, Curtis, even this Diggle clone that was on my screen. Yeah. Amanda says also, or Stormy says Renee from the future is far more evil than Felicity supposedly is. By the way, that future wig of Renee is real ugly. Strongly agree. Kate Johnson says 3 out of 5. It was okay. I feel like it was an exposition episode that would be necessary, but it was kind of slow and unfocused. That's it's a fair evaluation, Kate. Stormy echoes that Dinah said something in the future that she does agree with. They do owe Felicity. They certainly do. Carrie says, speaking of William, does he not get a holiday break to come see his folks? #family. Stormy said, yeah, I'm wondering where William is. I know spoilers, we have seen from the guy who plays the future William, he's continued to post pictures of himself filming like on social media, so we know that he's still in there and still involved, but present day, not really flashback, but kid William, I don't know when he's going to pop back up. I'd like to see him pop back up. I've had so many seasons, Stormy says, to get invested in the queen sibling bonds. I don't think I will ever feel that for Oliver and Emiko. I know. I mean, they can give Emiko Thea's wardrobe, but it doesn't make her Thea. And I get why Thea's not there. You know, like actors have like scheduling differences and different stage of life and all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm not harping on the fact that Thea's not there. I'd love her back, but it is what it is. And I'm not anti-Emiko in any way either, but let's acknowledge what it is. It's a brand new character introduced in the middle of the 7th season of a show. There's only so much investment we can have, and with this episode mostly revolving around her exposition and introduction, it's kind of like watching a spin-off. It's like watching a spin-off episode for a show you like that has little bits of characters that you care about, and then mostly centers around a new character in a similar setting. You know, they've certainly spun off a lot of things from Arrow to no end almost. They spun off Flash and Legends and kind of Supergirl and goodness, they're trying to spin off like a Birds of Prey type of thing. They spun off Batgirl or Batwoman, sorry, from the last crossover. You know, there's kind of endless things that they can kind of pull off of this show, and some of them better than the others. I liked the Kate Kane introduction. I didn't like the Legends spinoff. You know, you win some, you lose some. With this Emiko character, my issue is that we're not seeing this Emiko heavy episode with the understanding that, oh, you know, they're using Arrow for another spinoff. It's, oh, they've introduced a new main character on Arrow. Okay, well, you know, I'm open to that. I'm not, you know, I don't ride hard for that many Arrow characters anymore. I like the previous version of Diggle before they replaced him with a clone. I like Felicity. Once in a while, I tolerate Oliver or whatever, I guess. Loved Thea. And then there's been, you know, even in terms of side characters, there's been some side characters on Arrow I've really liked. Sin, Huntress, Reza. Those are 3 that come to mind, but characters I'd watch a spinoff for. Nyssa, probably. Stormy, I feel like they're bringing so many new people to possibly spin off after next year. Yeah. Brian agreeing with some others in the chat and says, poor Oliver just got out of prison and has to deal with this nonsense when he should be spending long overdue time with his wife. He can't get a break. Very true. Carrie says, I wish Emiko had more dynamic motivation than revenge. Yeah, he has a good point there. I think revenge is a classic superhero motivator, and it's not really, there's been many instances where the most dynamic motivator that Oliver had was revenge. So there's certainly been many superhero stories that are mostly just revenge. You know, some guy wants to avenge the death of his wife alongside his new hot partner who he ends up falling in love with. You know, like it's classic formula, cut and paste. But I'm in this weird mix where I want more from Miss Emiko so I can care a little bit more, but I also don't want her taking up all 43 minutes of screen time from characters that I've already become invested in. So, I don't know, maybe a web series for something. Kate says, I just want Felicity and Dig to be fixed and good characters in the flash forwards. Is that too much to ask? Well, I don't think it's too much to ask, Kate, but I cannot speak for the powers that be. My thing is, if you want me to care about the flash forwards, putting Felicity in danger of death was a good start, but I also want her to be in them. If you want me to care about the flash forwards, making Diggle a mystery is a good start, but then I also want him to be in it. There's a level of intrigue you can create for it by having there be an unknown in the flash forwards, but that will only carry me so far before I'm like, I literally do not care about a single person in these flash forwards right now. Like, just put in somebody I care about and then I'll pay attention. Yeah, a lot of people agreeing with Kate in the chat. That's very good. Point. So let me ask you, what were the parts that you did like from this episode? What are some of your favorite bits? And then I'm going to add to it that final question that I usually ask, which is, what are you looking forward to seeing this season? So what was it in this episode that you watched and you said, from that, I'm looking forward to something for the next 10 episodes. I want to see how this develops. I want to see what unfolds there. I'm excited about this person's portrayal or this person's storyline. What was it that you were looking forward to? I, for example, am looking forward to my hair finally drying. But what was it for you that you're looking forward to? And I'll give a real answer as well. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the Queen family dynamic. I loved the Queen family dynamic from the first half of the season. Yes, there's somebody right behind me playing video games. We won't worry about it. I loved seeing Oliver, Felicity, William, and Raja bond. I loved seeing William sort of grow up a little bit from the like little kid with the flashback pack to like, oh, this actor had a growth spurt, which is just as well because we probably are better off having him as a teen on this show instead of a kid anyways. That was a good move for me, so I really enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to seeing Diggle return to being actual Diggle and not clone Diggle. That would be fun and fresh. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Lila as director of Argus. Lisa says she's looking forward to Felicity and Oliver working together again like a well-oiled machine and for William to come home. Agreed. Crash Carter says the action was ... decent ? And the longbow hunters and more about Emiko. Yeah, I'm curious about the longbow hunters as well, in that I am not at all curious about Diaz anymore. I'm so over him. I'm so sorry. You guys know my journey where I keep trying to give him a chance. This guy, no, I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care about him as a villain. I don't care about him as a character. I don't care about the fact that the Diggles are offering him freedom in exchange for what, like, that is so out of character for them. This guy has tried to kill the Queen family and will not stop trying to kill the Queen family. That is literally just like, I can't take that seriously as a plot line because that is not what Diggle or Lila would ever do. Like, it's just like somebody wrote this not knowing these characters at all in any way, shape, or form. We are not approaching the storyline in the same way. There's no feedback I can have on that storyline. It just does not make sense. Anyways, Stormy agrees. She says, I'm looking forward to Diaz going boom. Please make him go away already. Yeah, like I'm looking forward to like a really clear permanent death for him. My God. Not in the like good way of like, oh, he's so evil. He's such a good villain. I can't wait for him to die. Like, I don't even see him as evil. I just see him as annoying. I know he is evil, but that's not the point I care about. And I do like evil characters sometimes. That's not my issue with this guy. My issue is like a mile long, and I've gone over it before in like a million episodes. Anyways, over him. Happy to see the Longbow Hunters come back, though. They had some fantastic evil ladies. We love them. They can stay. Lisa says, curious about Emiko, but I don't feel like I want Oliver to overtry. Will he also bring his family into trying to help her? Like, I feel like that's going to happen. The Queen family is going to show up for Emiko and try to help her and kind of bond with her in the process. And that's going to be that on that. Like, I understand. I'm probably not going to overtly, like, dislike it that much. But there are pre-existing storylines and characters that I am going to care about more and want to see more. Particularly if we can get the real version of them. Like right now, we seem to have the real version of Oliver and Felicity, so I'm very invested in them. We don't seem to have the real version of Diggle and Lila, so I'm sort of like, question mark, like I would like to see them on screen, I suppose, but like it's hit or miss as to whether or not it's really them or not. David Ramsey's on screen, but he's not playing John Diggle, Stormy says. Yeah, good point. Well, I have kept you guys a couple minutes past my goal of 20 minutes. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, as always. I appreciate if you are watching live, if you're watching after the fact. Very exciting next week. I'm going to have, you know, I go every other week. Some weeks I have a guest, some weeks I have just me. This week it's just you guys and me, and we chatted, and that was fun. And so next week I'll have a guest. Very exciting. I will have a guest in person, and it's a guest who I've had on here, not in person, like through video before. But she will be here in person, which is very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. looking forward to talking to you guys next week. Suzanne Crockett says they're ruining Diggle. Lisa says Lila's more Lila than Diggle is Diggle. Yeah, unfortunately that's true, but I have hope that they may bring it back around because fan reaction to the current Diggle storyline has been clear and consistent and loud. So I have hope that they will turn it around. This episode was not a good indicator of that, but like I have at least a little bit of hope. I will talk to you guys next week. Next week's episode is entitled, let me pull that up. I have that written down somewhere. It's entitled Past Sins, which I think will be interesting. It makes me wonder if we'll get away a little bit from the flash forwards, maybe do a flashback. Not that I love the flashbacks either, but like let's shake things up and try something different, maybe a little bit. Reminds me of the character that I liked that they had in season 2, Sin. She was played by Bex Taylor Claus. That's really cool. We can bring her back as well. Maybe. Probably not next week. Anyways, talk to you guys later. Leave me a comment about your thoughts if you're watching this after the fact. And you can also talk to me on Twitter or anything else. My information's in the description down below. And if you would like to guest on the show and chat about Arrow with me live after Arrow airs East Coast time in any of the remaining episodes of season 7, just drop me a message on Twitter. My inbox is open and we can chat about that. All right, I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for chatting. Hold on, let me pull this up. There we go. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.